Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I do have confirmation that we are live streaming, and you may begin your meeting.
Okay. Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Clerk. Good afternoon, Council. I see that we have quorum, so I call to order this public meeting under the Planning Act at 5:30. And that's it. And adoption of agenda, I will turn to the clerk.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have some opening remarks. I'll ask her to please share our presentation. Public meeting under the Planning Act, July 12th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. All Town of Pelham in-person public meetings have been canceled. Instead, the town is holding all meetings electronically via Zoom. Please note, no decisions have been made prior to this public meeting. The Planning Department will be providing a presentation regarding the subject application. Participants are reminded, please ensure your background is free from offensive or vulgar material. If inappropriate material is visible, you will be removed from the meeting. Vulgar or offensive language will not be tolerated. If inappropriate language is used, you will be removed from the meeting. Participant microphones and video cameras will remain off until you are called to speak. Once comments have been heard by council, your microphone will be muted and staff will turn off your camera. Decorum. The public meeting under the Planning Act is a formal public hearing requiring decorum. This means that all comments are to be made through the chair. If you have pre-registered to speak, you'll be given an opportunity to address council at the public portion of the meeting. If you are live streaming and wish to submit a comment live, please use the clerks@pelham.ca email address. Please note that any comments shall be received during the public portion of the meeting, otherwise they will not be considered. Disrespectful comments will not be tolerated. Cheering, booing, or hissing from the gallery will also not be tolerated. If decorum is lost, the meeting may be recessed and persons asked to leave. To allow for efficient meeting, each member of the public will be given an opportunity to speak to council during the public portion of the meeting. Please note that all members of the public have been given the opportunity to speak. The applicant or agent will have the opportunity to address the public comments and concerns at one time. Please note that all comments stated and received electronically form part of the public record and will be considered by planning staff when preparing their recommendation reports for council's consideration. If you wish to receive a copy of the notice of decision, please contact the planner responsible for this application in writing as soon as possible. Shannon Larocque, Senior Planner, 20 Pelham Town Square, P.O. Box 400, Fonthill, Ontario, LOS 1EO, slarocque@pelham.ca. This contact information can also be found on the Town of Pelham's website. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The applicant's agent for 1365 Station Street has requested a deferral. In this regard, I would be looking for a mover from the floor to amend the agenda to remove item 4 inclusive.
Council, do we have a mover? And I see Councillor Wink and seconded by Councillor Kaur.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Therefore, I do have a motion moved by Councillor Wink that the agenda be amended to remove item 4 inclusive. Through you, Mr. Mayor, for discussion.
Okay, any discussion on this motion? Not seeing any, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. I will start the vote with Councillor Hahn.
Yes.
Councillor Hildebrand.
Yes.
Councillor Kaur.
Yes.
Councillor Olsen.
Yes.
Councillor Stewart.
Yes.
Councillor Wink.
Yes.
Mayor Junkin.
Yes.
And that motion carries. Therefore, I have a motion put forth by Councillor Olsen that the agenda for the July 12th, 2021 public meeting under the Planning Act, special meeting of Committee of the Whole, be adopted as amended. Through you, Mr. Mayor, for discussion.
Okay, any discussion on the amendment? Not seeing any, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. And for the vote, I will start with Councillor Hildebrand.
Yes.
Councillor Kaur.
Yes.
Councillor Olsen.
Yes.
Councillor Stewart.
Yes.
Councillor Wink.
Yes.
Councillor Hahn.
Yes.
Mayor Junkin.
Yes.
And that carries. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I would advise any pre-registered members of the public, as well as those live streaming, that the applications OP AM 03-2020 and AM 11-2020, 1365 Station Street, will no longer proceed this evening Should the application be brought forward at a later time, you will be notified of the new meeting. Through you, Mr. Mayor, we are now at item 3, being disclosure of pecuniary interest.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. With the renewed, or with the, with the revised agenda, does any counselor have of the pecuniary interest or general nature thereof to declare? Not seeing any, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. I have so noted. Through you, Mr. Chair, we are now on item number 5, and I will read the notice requirements into the record. Town of Pelham application for revision to draft plan of subdivision and zoning bylaw amendment, 155 Port Robinson Road, file number 26T19-0119 and AM-02-21. Revision to draft plan of subdivision and zoning bylaw amendment to create one additional lot for a street townhouse dwelling and to allow a minimum lot area of 210 meters squared per unit. The Planning Act requires under Section 34 and 50 that Council must hold at least one public meeting for the purpose of informing the public in respect of the proposed revision to the draft plan and amendment. The public meeting has been called to satisfy this requirement. Notice of this meeting was provided by prepaid first-class mail to all persons who are listed as owners in the last revised assessment roll within 120 meters of the subject property on June 18, 2021. The notice provided information on the property and the proposed revision to the draft plan of subdivision and zoning bylaw amendment. In addition to providing information, we will also receive any comments which any member of the public may wish to offer. If you wish to receive a copy of the notice of decision, please contact the clerk in writing as soon as possible. Contact information is available on the town's website and will also be displayed on the last slide of the staff presentation to follow shortly. If a person or public body would otherwise have the ability to appeal the decision to the town of Pelham to the Ontario Land Tribunal, but the person or body does not make an oral submission at the public meeting or make written submissions to the town of Pelham before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision. In closing, we stress that at this point, no decision has been made on the proposed amendments, and therefore any comments received will be taken into account by Council in their consideration. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do have our senior planner, Shannon LaRocque, in the meeting. And Shannon, I would invite you to start your presentation.
Shannon, you have the floor. Ms. LaRocque.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. The public meeting tonight is for property located at 155 Port Robinson Road and 2 applications that the town has received. This property is located at the northwest corner of Lemeti Drive and Port Robinson Road. And the first application is a revision to the draft plan of subdivision to create one additional lot for a street townhouse dwelling. The second application that has been received is a zoning bylaw amendment application. And what that zoning bylaw amendment application is requesting is a reduction in the minimum lot area down to 210 square meters per unit. Council may recall that this property received draft plan approval for a subdivision consisting of 6 street townhouse dwellings in September of 2019. That application received draft plan approval, and the applicant is working toward meeting the conditions of draft plan approval. This is the proposed draft plan of subdivision showing the 7 lots. All have frontage and would have driveway access off of Lemeti Drive. And the provincial plans and policies that are applicable to this property include the provincial policy statement, which considers this property to be within a settlement area. Settlement areas are where most development is to occur, and a mix of housing options is encouraged. And in the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, the property is considered to be within the delineated built-up area. 50% of all new residential development is to occur within this area. In the Niagara Region official plan, this property is within the urban built-up area. The urban built-up area permits a full range of residential, commercial, industrial, and institutional uses, which are all permitted subject to available services and infrastructure. There are also policies that promote higher density development and growth that would help to allow for a range of employment and housing types. And the town of Pelham has a 15% intensification target in the region's official plan for new development. The town's official plan designates this property as being within the East Fonthill secondary plan area, and it's designated East Fonthill medium density residential. This designation permits all forms of townhouse units, and it permits townhouse dwellings at densities ranging from 20 units per net hectare up to 60. The town's official plan also contains policies to help guide council in its decision-making when it's considering an application for zoning bylaw amendment that would allow for new townhouses. And the policies require that council is satisfied that the proposal respects the character of adjacent neighborhoods in terms of height, bulk, and massing, that it can be easily integrated with surrounding land uses, that it won't create traffic hazards or unacceptable congestion, and that it's located on a site with adequate land area to incorporate required parking, recreational facilities, landscaping, and buffering. The town's zoning bylaw zones the property residential multiple 1 to 95. And this zoning was approved at the same time that the property was given draft plan approval for the subdivision. This zone permits street townhouse dwellings subject to a number of site-specific regulations. And the zoning is not proposed to change, but rather one of the site-specific regulations would change. And that would be to allow for a minimum lot area of 210 square meters as opposed to 230 square meters, which is required right now. So that would allow for the additional unit. The applicant has provided some technical reports in support of the application. Those include a stormwater management update and a planning justification report, both prepared by Cortec Group. And if anyone wishes to review copies of those reports, I'm happy to provide copies. And if someone contacts me, I can email them. These applications were circulated to commenting agencies and town staff, and the following comments were received. The building division advised that separate building permits will be required for each unit and that Ontario Building Code compliance is required. And Bridge Gas advised that they don't need any changes. All of their previously requested conditions were fine. Town Public Works provided some technical comments about the road and servicing requirements, and the region offered no objections as long as the previous draft plan conditions were retained and to the satisfaction of any requirements that the town may require. At the time of the public meeting, or up until the time of the public meeting, no comments were received from any members of the public. And in conclusion, there are, of course, no recommendations being offered tonight and no decisions being asked. We are simply here to provide information and receive comments from the public. And following the meeting, planning staff will prepare a recommendation report for council's consideration at a later date. If anyone wishes to receive notices or has questions following the meeting, they're welcome to contact me at extension 319 or through email at slarock@pelham.ca. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for that presentation, Ms. Larocque. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I do understand the agent for this application has a presentation. I would invite Ms. Smythe to proceed.
Okay. Ms. Smythe, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, and those members in the public attending. Thank you for taking the time and to listen to receive information about the application. My name is Susan Smythe. I'm a senior planner with Cortec Group. I've been retained by the owner. I'm here before council to provide just again, maybe another quick summary. Ms. LaRock provided a very good summary of the application, but I'll just kind of review a couple other details. Just to start, I will give some context. So if we can just skip to the background information, thank you. So as Ms. LaRock had indicated, it's located on the northwest corner of Lametti and Port Robinson Road, which is in the East Fonthill secondary plan. The site has lot frontage of 108.8 feet on Port Robinson Road and 175.28 lot frontage along Lametti Drive. The site area collectively is 1,809.19 square meters, 0.8 hectares. For this development, as shown on the draft plan of subdivision, all of the lots and units will have their lot frontages along Lametti Drive. A mix of single and one-story and two-story dwellings and townhouse dwelling units. Therefore, having this development fit and being compatible with what's existing in the immediate area. Just give you a little more context in terms of the previous application. So again, it was noted that it received the approval of the zoning in September of 2019. It was formally identified as Martin's Nest subdivision, and it contained the 6 townhouse units. In late of 2019, a new developer owner took possession, and to fit better with the context of what was currently being developed in the area, decided to change up the design and therefore added the 1 additional interior unit. Next slide, please. Thank you. Just to give you a little more information on the proposal and the requested amendment. Again, it's for 7 street townhouse lots or units. They will be 2-story units with a contemporary urban design as shown in those images provided, which adheres to the town's East Fonthill urban design guidelines. As noted, the current RM1-295 zone, actually under the RM1 zone, the minimum lot area per unit is 230 square meters, so approximately 2475.78 square feet. By adding this additional unit, the request for the amendment is to reduce the lot area by 20 square meters, therefore having a minimum lot area of 210 square meters, to 2260.42 square feet. This table that I provided here just essentially shows what was the original draft plan approved with the 6 units. So provided the lots, frontages, and depths and the lot areas. And now with the new 7 units, essentially you can see that the lot depths have pretty much been consistent or hasn't changed much, but the lot frontages have changed. Of note, however, the lot frontages do meet the RM1 zone minimum lot frontage of 7 meters. So we do adhere to that. So with the reduction of lot frontage and still maintaining the lot depths, however, it did make a change with the minimum lot areas, particularly with lots 2 to 6. Next, please. Just with noting too, in terms of the RM1 zone, all other zoning provisions, including the rear, front yards, side yards, they will not change. So therefore, there will be no tangible or noticeable impacts to those adjacent uses, particularly because the outside building envelope, as noted in the original, it will not necessarily be increased. So those side yards, front and rear yards will be sustained. And again, as noted, it will be a 2-story contemporary urban design. In terms of policy analysis, again, as Ms. LaRock had indicated, it adheres to the town's official plan for East Fonthill secondary plan. It permits townhouses. And also this proposal is an appropriate scale and consistent with the goals and objectives of the East Fonthill Urban Design Guidelines. As noted, the medium density residential, which this is designated this site, it's a range of 20 to 60 units per hectare. This proposal is providing 30 units per hectare, so it is within that range. In terms of the site from engineering perspective, it has been designed to connect to existing infrastructure, both on Port Robinson Road and Lameti. Cortec has prepared a stormwater management brief, and there's the increase of that 1% of lot coverage. It does not create any negative impacts to the storm sewers. And as noted, the town engineering staff reviewed the brief and the report and offered no concerns. In terms of regional provincial policies, again, this is providing a residential intensification in a settlement area and providing a compact built form with a range of an alternative form of housing for the different lifestyles and changes of people in their life. And lastly, the next steps, it's just giving an overview of where we are. So sorry, the last, thank you. So where we are, we're here at the public meeting, providing you the information about the application. Obviously, there will be a future meeting with council for deliberation on the recommendation report that will be prepared by town staff. Following that will be the notice and then the 20-day appeal period. Subsequent, there will be also addressing any final comments, clearing conditions of the draft plan approval prior to the agreement being prepared by town staff and then being registered on title, at which time building applications can be applied for and the lots can then be sold individually before and then start of construction. So at this time, I have nothing further to add. If anybody has any questions, I'm here to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smythe, for a very thorough explanation on the request. I'll turn to Madam Deputy Clerk.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, that brings us to the public portion of the meeting. We do not have any pre-registered members of the public for this application. Having said that, I will check the clerks at pelham.ca email address. Mr. Mayor, I can confirm that it is 5:52 and we have received no emails, and therefore you can close the public portion of the meeting and move to committee input.
Okay, thank you very much. And I will now turn to committee for questions, comments, and I see first up is Councillor Kaur.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the presenter. Thank you for your presentation. What is the value of these townhomes? What are they going up for?
Through you to Mr. Mayor, that is a good question, and the developer has not yet set a price point, so I will have to provide that to town staff to be addressed in the recommendation report.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other questions or comments to the presenter? I'm not seeing any. One last time, perhaps. Oh, okay. Ms. Smythe, you must have made a great deal of a good job of presenting. There are no further questions. I will now turn to the clerk.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that brings us to the presentation of resolutions. I do have a motion put forward by Councillor Hahn that committee receive report 2021-119 for information as it pertains to file numbers 26T19-01-19 and AM0221 relating to 155 Port Robinson Road, and that committee directs planning staff to prepare the recommendation report on the topic for council's consideration. For the vote, I would begin with Councillor Kaur.
Yes.
Councillor Olsen.
Yes.
Councillor Stewart.
Yes.
Councillor Wink.
Yes.
Councillor Hahn.
Yes.
Councillor Hildebrand.
Yes.
Mayor Junkin.
Yes.
Thank you, and that carries. I have a motion put forward by Councillor Hildebrand that committee receive the applicant's presentation for information. For the vote, I will begin with Councillor Olson.
Yes.
Councillor Stewart,
Yes.
Councillor Wink,
Yes.
Councillor Hahn,
Yes.
Councillor Hildebrand,
Yes.
Councillor Kaur,
Yes.
Mayor Junkin.
Yes.
Thank you, and that carries. Through you, Mr. Mayor, we did not receive any written or verbal correspondence on this application, and therefore, that does bring us to item 6 on the agenda, being the adjournment. I have a motion put forward by Councillor Kaur that this special committee of the whole public meeting under the Planning Act be adjourned. For the vote, I will begin with Councillor Stewart,
Yes.
Councillor Wink,
Yes.
Councillor Hahn,
Yes.
Councillor Hildebrand,
Yes.
Councillor Kaur,
Yes.
Councillor Olson,
Yes.
Mayor Junkin.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That does pass, and it is 5:55, and you can gavel out your meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor, and for your participation, and everyone have a good evening.
Thank you. Good evening.